Back here on CBS Sports HQ, we have some breaking news from the NFL where the Washington Commanders have acquired cornerback Marshon Lattimore from the New Orleans Saints. That is the very latest from our lead NFL insider, Jonathan Jones. Lattimore was a four-time Pro Bowler with the Saints, and it's a huge addition for the Commanders, who are off to a 7-2 start and have sole position of first place in the NFC East. These are the reported trade details that are out there. Commanders, of course, getting Lattimore and a 2025 fifth-round pick. This is the haul that the Saints are going to get a 2025 third, fourth, and sixth round pick, all for Marshon Lattimore, and a fifth-round pick for the Commanders. Let's welcome on the guys, Pete Prisco and Rick Spielman. Rick, former GM, you know about these trade things well, and Pete, you have covered this game for a very, very long time. So let's talk about it, because Pete, beforehand, you were on the Pushing the Pile podcast earlier today, and this was a perfect pairing for you, saying Marshon Lattimore should go to the Commanders. Now it is a done deal. It's officially official. What are your thoughts on this trade? And we just saw those reported trade details as well.
Well, they gave up a lot, but again, if you're going to get a player like this and you think your team is ready to make a push for the division title and maybe more, you have to go do it. I think it's a great move. I think now when you look at their secondary, you have St. Juste at one corner, good player. You move Mikey Sainristil inside the nickel, which is what he should be playing, and you play Lattimore on the outside. I think it gives them a nice trio of corners. That makes the defense that much better. And again, we know they're going to score points. That offense is dynamic. The quarterback is dynamic. They have playmakers. They can run the ball. So why not get defensive help that makes it better when your teams are trying to come back against you with their offense?
And I thought probably at the beginning of the season, you would have said maybe they're sellers at this point, maybe getting rid of those two defensive tackles. But all of a sudden, they lead the division. I don't know if anyone's going to really threaten them. They got to play the Philadelphia Eagles yet, the closest team to maybe pushing them for that NFC East title. But the way Dan Quinn and the way Adam Peters has put this team together, bringing in, then changing that culture, the fans up in the Washington, D.C. area are all behind him right now. And to go get a Pro Bowl corner, which will help Dan Quinn's defense even more because they can isolate him in man-to-man situations, just like they did when they had Diggs in Dallas. This is going to give them even a better defense than they've shown over the last couple weeks.
And I'll be honest with you, a couple weeks ago, if you would have asked me if this was worth doing, I would have said no, because I think they need to build more on that defense. They're still lacking a great pass rusher. You know, the draft picks are valuable.
Right.
But where they are right now, it makes sense. And I think it makes sense from both parties' standpoint. I mean, you look at it, the Saints need a lot of relief and cap help. They're going to have to rebuild that thing. They need the draft picks. The interesting thing here will be how the contract was handled. Did they take some of it? How much did they take? Does it give it? How much relief will it give the Saints? Because the Saints are headed for cap hell. I mean, they are in a bad situation, so any relief they can get is a good thing.
And the one thing that I'll say about this is you never know when you're going to be in this position again. Now, it came way earlier than I think people anticipated, just like with the Houston Texans last year. So when you're at this point of the season, you have the record they have, and you're probably going to make a push in the playoffs, you have to make a move like this. And I agree with you. Maybe 3 weeks ago, that's giving up a lot of draft capital. But where you're at, you'll never know if you'll be in this situation again. So,
well, you would think with that quarterback you will be, but I get it. I get it.
Yeah, but when you're in this situation, take advantage of it. And I thought Adam Peters did a great job taking advantage of it.
Yeah, and our Jonathan Jones, by the way, confirming all of those trade details that we had on the screen there. We were talking to JJ about it, and he says, you know, I don't think there's going to be any other big moves for the Commanders. But Rick, at this point, you're saying, you know, you're weighing those options, right? Do they build for the future? Now you got to build now. With all of that in mind, and with Marshon Lattimore going there, is there any other players, any other things that come to mind that you think they should do before this 4 p.m. deadline, or are you good?
Yeah, no, I think that they gave a lot of draft capital, so you got to balance where do you want to give all your future away? You know, like I think a great addition would be Ojulari from the Giants.
Pass rusher.
But pass rusher, but they're not going to trade within the division. So I think they've shown enough on what they were able to accomplish so far this year that this is a great move. I don't think they'll do anything else because you have to still balance out. We still have to build this football team, and we can't do it if we don't have the draft capital to do it. So they gave up a lot, but it was worth it. But you got to still balance out. You still got to build this football team in the future.
I agree, but they're at a point now when you look at their roster and you come look at their defense. You say, who's the guy that's going to knock somebody down consistently when it's time to get sack, fumble, game over? And they don't have that. So,
but not a lot of teams don't have
okay,
that.
but do you go get another one to add to the mix? Ojulari's not going to.
No, you're starting to play fantasy football.
No, I'm not. Ojulari's not going to be the guy because they're not going to trade in the division. But you can go out and maybe give up.
Who?
Arden Key.
Oh God, you're on this Arden Key thing all day.
He's a good pass rusher.
He's an in-line guy.
There's a good pass rusher when there's good people around them, and I think somebody like that. I think they need to add one more body. I think one more pass rusher, and then you look at the defense and you go, oh wow. They got guys, and they have a bunch of guys, but there's no real one guy, and I think so if you get another one, it helps the whole.
But they're playing so well together as a team, and Dan Quinn's done a phenomenal job getting that defense to rise way above what the expectations were before the season.
And the corner will help the pass
corner was
rush.
Significant. The other stuff, that's a cherry on top, but I'm sure in the heck not going to sacrifice my draft capital
You give
anymore.
up a 6 for if you get a 6.
Well, how many draft picks you have next year?
It's a 6. How many 6th-round picks did you have in Minnesota that ended up making an impact?
I wish I could count them. They said I would give my mother away for a 6th-round pick.
Yeah, well, did you?
Twice.
Oh, God.
I traded back for her, though.
You got it back.
Let's talk about this Commanders team as a whole, which, by the way, we've been trying to get Arden Key at some of these top NFC teams all day long.
Because
he has. No one else.
Yes.
Because they don't have the insight that I have right here.
Yeah, because, Pete, we know you would be like the best NFL GM. But let's talk about the Commanders. I mean that. 7-2. They're leading the NFC East with this addition, and as this team is right now, we're looking at the current playoff picture. How far, Pete, do you think this team can go as it is assembled right now with Marshon Lattimore, and say it stays status quo and they don't make any other big moves at that 4 p.m. deadline?
When your quarterback is as good as this kid is, they can go as far as he can take them. And by that I mean, can they go to Detroit and win? Absolutely they could. Could they go to any of them other places and win? Sure they can. Is it likely? No. I think, at some point you get this young quarterback, he's going to start feeling some young quarterback-like moments. It just happens to all of them. Will it happen in the regular season? Does it happen in the postseason? Who knows? But I love where this team is headed. The Washington Commanders have no quarterback worries for the next decade. Think about that. Never for the next 10 years will they have to worry about that position. It's the greatest feeling in sports. It's unbelievable. It changes the dynamic of the franchise. But are they ready to win it all this year? Probably not.
I'll say the one thing that gives them a chance to win in the playoffs is because the way the defense is playing. You saw how they played against the Chicago Bears last week. Caleb Williams looked like all out of sorts for 3 quarters before he came. But they can run the ball. When we were talking about the offensive line, the Wileys of the world, the Algeretis, Biadic of the world. Those guys are not Pro Bowlers, but they play well together, and they're tough guys. And the way Brian Robinson's running the ball when he's on the field, that gives them another element that takes some of the pressure off the rookie quarterback.
When your quarterback is as good as he is, he cures all those problems. If you have problems and your quarterback stinks, they're all going to surface to the top. When he's good, they kind of hide him a little bit. It's true.
Let's grade the trade, and we'll go through each side. But let's start with the Commanders. Rick, what would you give them?
A+.
Love it. I love the hand motions as well.
A+.
Wow. I didn't see that coming from you.
Yeah.
A+. You know what? I'd give it an A+ as well.
Wow, okay.
And normally, and I think you would agree with me, we aren't big on trading away assets and draft picks because it's cheap, labor down the road, and you might hit 1 or 2 of those guys. But I think in this scenario, it makes all the sense in the world. But the flip side is I'm going to give the Saints a B here too, because they have to do it. They have to. This thing is a complete rebuild. Whoever the next head coach is going to be there they have to have patience with them because they have so many cap issues, and they're going to have to really tear this thing up and start all over again. And in fact, it wouldn't surprise me to see them peddling some of their other assets around the league right now as well.
They have to get rid of all these high-priced guys, and Mickey Loomis is the best at kicking the can down the road. Well, that can has hit the curb, and it's not going anywhere. So the only way they're going to be able to field a team next year is to have a lot of rookies on there, and it's the rebuild, retool, whatever you want. But just like a couple of these other teams, the Denver Broncos, when they got rid of Russell Wilson, they had to build through the draft, and they're doing a great job building through the Rams are a perfect example of that, and they continue to hit on draft picks. But when you're doing this, you're accumulating all these picks. You better make sure you're right on those picks that you've accumulated.
The credit card bill is due in New Orleans, and it's time to pay. You can't put it off anymore. They got to pay
It's been for like 10 years.
It's amazing.
Yeah, some major salary cap issues there.